Browns needed this one, didn't they? They needed this one, right? It was a lot of people starting to get truly fed up, right? We had, and I'm going to do a video on this, but we had somebody nationally come out and make the argument that Kevin's not going anywhere, making it clear no matter how the rest of the season goes. People were feeling some type of way about that one way or the other. And I think a lot of people kind of like, yeah, they could say that, but the reality is you don't know what's going to happen when the Browns lose to Pittsburgh on national TV. It's never been like every time the Browns lose to Pittsburgh on national TV, something changes. If it's not the coaching, something changes. That's just been the history of this team. We've seen coaches change, general managers change. The last time they lost to Pittsburgh on national TV, I believe it was Baker Mayfield's last game as a Cleveland Browns. Stuff changes in Cleveland when you lose to your arch rival on national TV. That's just how it goes, right? We hate the Steelers that much. It's like at Ohio State. Shit starts to change when you can't beat Michigan, right? Because you could do a lot, but you can't lose to them, right? That's how it is in Cleveland. We have one of the few real rivalries in all of sports. And the way I say it's real is it's not based on the context, right? Like Steelers Ravens is cool, but it's based on the context. It only matters when the Ravens and Steelers are both good, but it's not a historical rivalry. The Browns Steelers, it always matters, especially the last decade of this matchup, or at least in this decade, it's mattered more. So that's just how we were coming into this, right? You lose to the Steelers, something changes when you do it on national TV. And a lot of people were nervous about this. Like, how is this going to go down? And shout out to Kevin. Shout out to this team, the leadership in the team. Joe Bitonio and Myles Garrett made a big point of it during the press conferences to keep putting it out there that it's important to still try to win and to keep winning and preaching that to this locker room. And it looks like that paid off because the Browns came in here and they didn't look like a 2-8 football team. They didn't look like a team that knew that they were out of it. They looked like a team that felt like they could win any game that they play in. And that's what you want to see, right? You want your coach to provide a floor. You want your coach to be able to get his guys up for games like this. And this is definitely something that matters, at least to me. Offensively for this Browns team, Jameis Winston, he played a really solid game, especially when you consider the context of this game being in a blizzard in the second half. Like, if you have not watched this game, and you only see this game on highlights, the first half and the second half look like they came from two different games. Like, the first half just looks like a regular night game. The second half of this game looks like it was filmed in Alaska. Like, it looks cold, very cold in there. And I'll admit, I'm usually somebody who would prefer a dome, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who live through that cold in that stadium would probably want a dome. But man, it's going to be, when they build that dome, as cool as I think it's going to be and as nice as I think it's going to be for the city to have something like that and be able to get the events that they can get with that, and for the team to be able to play in a remote climate most of the time, as cool as that's going to be, I'm not going to lie, dog. It's going to be, I'm going to miss being able to see games that look like this in Cleveland. It doesn't happen but like once every 4 or 5 years, but when it does, it's just so fun. And even if you're the most pro dome person on earth, I think you do have to look at that and say to yourself, man, you're gonna miss that. We gonna all miss that, right? But you know, I still think at the end of the day, they probably gonna get that dome because it looks like they want to build it. But you know, it's just gonna be, enjoy these snow games while they still happen, is all I'm saying, because we don't know when we gonna ever see one again in Cleveland, at least. So love seeing that. And it was a very tough place to throw football. Jameis Winston, 18-27, over 200 yards. Again, he has not been under 200 yards since he has taken the starting job at quarterback. No passing touchdowns, did have a rushing touchdown, 1 interception, also had a fumbled loss in this game. I thought he played pretty well, made the most out of the opportunities that were there. Yes, he made the 1 mistake through the 1 interception, but to his credit, or at least not to his credit, at least the interception was not in a part of the field where the Browns could not stop the Steelers from scoring. So that at least was fortunate, right? I always prefer, if you're a quarterback, if you throw an interception, do it in the opposite territory, because it's just a punt at that point, right? It still sucks because there's a drive you could have potentially got points onto, but you didn't get points. That all definitely matters, but still, if you're going to make that mistake, if you make it there, it's a lot easier for the defense to recover from it. The defense in this game, I thought, played really well for every drive except for 2 drives, right? There was the one drive where they let the Steelers just go right down the field after the Browns went up 12-0. That was a horrible possession by them. And then the drive after that where the Browns gave them a short field, admittedly, but still they had an opportunity to force a 3rd down. Grant Delpit gets a stupid penalty and ends up giving them a touchdown. So great job, except for those other 2 drives. Other 2 times that they went out there. I thought Grant Delpit, outside of the couple of mistakes he made in this game, was actually playing pretty well here. You got to start talking about Jerry Jeudy offensively. Jerry Jeudy, that trade looks pretty good. The Browns traded for Jerry Jeudy. A lot of people were critical of that move. A lot of people were critical of the contract that he got. But if you look at his work that he's put in since the quarterback change, and let me try to look at it right here on ESPN. Sorry about this. But what, 79, 73, 142, 85 in a blizzard. He's been putting in work, and he was, during Watson's time, the most productive wide receiver. It looks like that was a good move to not just, he got a teddy bear now. I'm watching the post-game show. Jameis Winston throwing snowballs, doing snow angels. Now he out here just walking in the cold with a teddy bear. Jameis is just fun, man. What a weird, fun guy. But yeah, Jerry Jeudy has been playing really good football for this team. That trade looks better and better every week. Jerry Jeudy gets to get out there. And then the contract too, right? Because if Jerry Jeudy can be a solid, low-key, 1-tier wide receiver and you're only paying him $17 million a year, and somebody said in chat, extend him today. You don't even got to. He's extended already under a very cheap number for a wide receiver. So that's great. There, any other standouts? Nick Chubb got back in the end zone 2 times. Look, Nick Chubb's going to probably take the whole year to get back to looking like Nick Chubb. I think we all kind of underestimated because of our belief in Nick Chubb, how long it would take for him to get back to looking like him. But I think he'll look like him more often than not when we get to next year. But still very productive for this team. His vision, very, very useful for this team. Let's talk about the defense. And if we talk about the defense, man, Myles Garrett. Got to talk about Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is the guy. He's that guy. He's the number one. Myles Garrett in this game had his second 3-sack half of the season. And you know what's crazy? Legitimately, this is what he's doing in a down year. Like, this is a down year for Myles Garrett. He's not as dominant as he was last year. He had a bunch of injuries, but still, he's blocking field goals. He's still getting 3 sacks again. This dude's just a force. It kind of feels like we're seeing the evolution of Myles Garrett. Just like his floor is just so high right now. TJ Watt, by the way, I don't know if anybody has seen TJ Watt. And this is a very serious issue, so let me look directly in the camera as I say this. If you have seen TJ Watt, if you don't know, he's a 6'5", 6'4"-ish white male, about 260 pounds, usually walks around wearing the number 90 on his chest. I hear if you're a quarterback and you stand in the pocket for more than 8 seconds, he finds you. So I think that's the trap that we need to put out there. We just need to get a quarterback to stand in the street, in the pocket for about 8 seconds. Maybe we'll find TJ Watt. But we did not find TJ Watt in Cleveland. So if you see a wild TJ Watt near you, let somebody know, because we ain't seen him. We ain't seen him at all. But all jokes aside, right? This is the kind of performance that we've been wanting to see out this Cleveland Browns team regularly. And again, it would be nice to see this team look like this on a regular basis. It would be nice to see this team show up like this on a regular basis. I get people who are frustrated when they see the team play this well versus an opponent that's 8-2, because it makes you feel like, hey man, what could we be if we play it like this every week? And yeah, that is the frustrating thing with this year's Browns team. Obviously, there are circumstances that created that in the first 7 weeks of the season. Deshaun Watson was playing under NFL quality football. That affected things. The offensive line was going through a bunch of injuries. What I want to see from the Browns now from the rest of the season is not just give me a moment like this on Thursday. This is great. I love that we got this moment, right? The same reason that we love that we got the moment from the Baltimore game. But what I want to see is this moment be sustained. You ain't got to win out for the rest of the year, but we want to see this team show up in this way for the rest of the season. I think that will ease a lot of our concerns and anxieties about where this team is going and where this team isn't going, right? Right now with Jameis, they're 2-2. They're a 500 football team with Jameis. Ironically enough, their 2 wins are against the 2 toughest opponents that they've had in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But it's nice to see them do this. And I'm going to cherish this and enjoy this win like everybody else should. But also, okay, let's see them look like this more often than not for the rest of the year. Like, that would be nice, right? You ain't got to beat Kansas City, but if you give Kansas City hell, I'm going to feel good about that, right? Maybe you beat the Broncos, maybe you don't, but give them hell, right? Look respectable on Monday Night Football when you play them. The Ravens, you play them again. I would love to see you beat the Bengals. Ain't no way I want to see the Bengals sweep us, dog. That's kind of crazy. Just play like this every week for the rest of the week out, and I think a lot of the concerns that people have will melt away, right? We'll kind of understand if they play like this for the rest of the year. Okay, we got dealt a rough hand. The quarterback stunk at the beginning of the year, but you know what? We get somebody mediocre to average in there, and we're going to be all right with this game as long as we upgrade the offensive line, figure out something at the quarterback position for next year, and then add some pieces around that. You're not going to be a world beater, but you're not going to be an embarrassment, right? Definitely not going to be an embarrassment. Still got some work to do. Still got some long-term goals to accomplish when it comes to roster building with this team, right? The draft's still going to be very important for this team. Don't forget that. But also, you want to see that this team has some semblance of a culture and a pulse for the rest of this year, and that they finish this year strong, because that's what you want a team that's well coached to do. So shout out to Kevin. Shout out to the Browns. Shout out to Myles Garrett. Shout out to Jameis Winston, the funnest guy on earth. And at some point we do got to talk about this. And it is kind of wild that every single quarterback who started more than 4 games for the Cleveland Browns in the Watson era, not named Deshaun Watson, has literally become a local legend. Like Jacoby Brissett, he don't got to buy nothing in Cleveland. We love Jacoby Brissett. Joe Flacco, he don't got to buy nothing in Cleveland. We love Joe Flacco, right? Even to an extent, I always will love PJ Walker. I know they don't show you that same love, PJ, but I will. I love PJ Walker. But, I get that other people like to be disrespectful with PJ, but still. And then Jameis Winston, who looks like he about to be doing car commercials in Cleveland for the rest of his life. He said in his pregame presser that you don't become a Cleveland Brown until you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And shout out to Jameis, because he did what he said he was going to do. Shout out to Myles for being focused. You can see Myles' focus and the intensity that Myles went in, and his leadership in this game really was contagious to everybody else. He took that whole TJ Watt comment, disrespected. He felt disrespected by it. He felt disrespected by how TJ talked about that. And you can see that in the effort that he put into this game. And I like to see those kind of things from your football team. Obviously, you want to see it continue. You don't want this to be a one-off. You don't want to be like, well, we got that one game against the Steelers and let's not think about anything else. No, I want to see them continue to play with this level of intensity, or at least with this level of conviction for the rest of the year. Doesn't mean you got to win out, but as long as I see this football team play with this level of effort and not whatever happened in the fourth quarter versus the Saints, then I think we can look at this and be like, hey, we got a respectable enough product out there even when everything went wrong. Let's see what we can do to reshuffle the deck and fix things going forward, right? So that is the main thing to me with this Cleveland Browns football team, is the importance of finishing strong, right? Because to me, making sure that you have a continuity and culture in place of people who ownership trusts, so ownership doesn't feel the need to meddle. Having that, to me, is so much more important than the specific position of your draft pick, or if you can get more value from trading up. All that shit's theoretical. I don't care about it. What I care about is being able to build a winning culture, and that doesn't start with losing and looking pathetic in games, right? That builds more losing. So it's nice that you did this. Love it. Want to see you do it next week. Don't mean you got to win out, but I want to see this kind of effort every week, every single week here, man. Shout out to Jermaine Ifedi. I think he deserves some love in this game because he only gave up the one sack. And let's be honest, we thought Jermaine Ifedi was going to get toasted, roasted, and flambéed in this game by the Pittsburgh Steelers edges. He did not. He did not. Jameis did a good job staying in the pocket, avoiding pressure. He does an excellent job at that. But still, Jermaine held up fine. I thought they ran the ball, or at least ran block pretty well, at least in the first half. Second half, they had a little bit more difficulty doing that. But the Steelers are like the best run defense in the NFL. So you expect to struggle just a little bit against them going up against the run here. And I like that Jim Schwartz clearly adjusted from week to week, because that damn Taysom Hill shit that happened last week, it drove me nuts. And they did a much better job on those Taysom Hill type plays when it was Justin Fields doing them. The difference is Justin Fields doesn't line up at fullback and tight end, so it's not the same exact thing, but it was really like the zone read, like the nakeds on the zone reads that were killing us. I just could not get my mind on that one. So love that. Love seeing the defense play well for most of this game. Myles Garrett obviously playing really good football. Cedric Tillman led this game with a concussion. Hope all is good there. David Njoku was really up and down in this one, but I can throw that off to the weather being terrible. But yeah, Browns did what they needed to do, and they upset Pittsburgh, and they gave Pittsburgh a nice stinky loss. And like I said on the stream, I'll say it here for everybody else who did not catch the stream. I love it when the Steelers lose. When the Steelers lose, I'm such a Steelers hater. It makes me happy. I'm not going to lie. Like a Steelers loss, yeah, that shit makes me happy. It's almost like the Browns winning. And there's nothing in the world I love more than the Browns winning, at least when it comes to sports. I love it when that shit happen at the same time. I don't care when that happens. You ain't going to never tell me that don't feel good. But that's my thoughts. Let me know yours.